Ah, my good and dear friends. This is Londo Molare, and I'm watching the Bad News Bards on Tennessee Tabletop Tavern.
Hello, Cam.
Good evening.
Okay.
We had some dead air there. I don't know what happened.
Oh man, now my it's trying to take pictures. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, welcome to Bad News Bards, episode 9, everyone.
Yeah. Figured it was going to be one of those nights.
Mm.
I was trying to clean up here. Now my stupid thing is trying to do crazy stuff. I don't know why it keeps trying to take pictures. It's like my keyboard buffer is filling up. Any rate, let's see if it'll let me actually do what I was going to do. Are you done now, keyboard? I may need to buy a new keyboard. Any rate, welcome to Bad News Parts. Let me flip myself back over here. There I am. All right. We got a thing coming up this week, don't we?
Well, the Babylon 5 retrospective, which airs primarily on Sci-Fi Snob's channel every Wednesday at 11 p.m., has a very special episode with a guest, Peter Jurasik, who played Londo, and has graciously agreed to come in for an interview.
Yeah. And now let me see. I've got this thing to play here.
Hello, I'm Peter Jurasik. I played Ambassador Londo Molare on Babylon 5.
I am Peter Lestero
Please join me, will you? On Science Fiction Snob on Wednesday, January 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern. You moon-faced assassins of joy, I will do a live, exclusive interview for you. Try to be there, yes?
All right.
So that should be fun.
That should be fun. All right.
And are you simulcasting that?
Yeah, I'm going to simulcast it. It's going to be on Jason's channel as well, Sci-Fi Planet TV.
Yep.
And then Madman is going to do a Monday rebroadcast instead of his usual show on Cudicast. So that's going to be fun. I also have another thing coming up. We're wrapping up that Shadow Rim game that we were doing with Chubby Funster. So that should be interesting. He's not going to be on there. It's just going to be those of us that were playing in the game. We're going to be talking about it. So we have Lord Mattias and a few others.
Oh wait, did you get dropped? Did you get TPK'd?
No, actually we all lived.
Okay, so but it's concluded.
It is concluded, yeah. So this is going to be just kind of like a player's thoughts game.
Okay. Well, what kind of game is that where you're all survived?
I know. Isn't that terrible?
Weird things happen.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
All right. Let me let's go ahead and bring on our guest if it'll let me. It's trying to take pictures again. It figures it was fine up until now. I may have to just yank this keyboard and put my other one on here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see if I can bring him on, and then we'll maybe. Come on, let me take. All right, hold on a minute. Stand by. Technical difficulties, folks.
He's got to go hit the tower with a hammer. Well, while that's going on, I will just say thanks for everyone who does tune in for our little show here. We've really had some enjoyable guests so far, and I expect the same will be tonight for our guest Daniel. Jeff, come on, get back.
Spare keyboard.
Oh no.
I swear. Ah. All right. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah. All right. I got to figure out what it's trying to do here. It's probably filled up the keyboard buffer. I don't need pictures.
Let's get our guest in here. I can start with the initial questioning.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I can.
No.
It's like literally trying to take pictures everywhere.
I'm sure he's patiently waiting.
Yeah. I do apologize, Daniel. He is waiting. We do know. Is it finally done? Yeah. It's probably frozen.
Should I sing
All
a
right,
song?
let me bring Daniel on. I think
Okay.
it's finally gonna let me. Hey.
Well,
Sorry, man.
Welcome to the show. This is our worst technical flub so far, but please excuse the mess.
that's
Yeah.
par for the course.
God.
Your streaming software is just nervous to have me on.
Is it? Uh-oh.
Well, I was watching your channel a little bit today, and I'm like, this guy's a live wire. I kind of like him, So why don't you start by introducing yourself a little bit and your channel, and we'll go from there.
Well, here on YouTube, I run Driving and Dragons. Every Monday, we do Intelligence as a Dump Stat, which is essentially a tongue-in-cheek mockery of stupid stuff that people say on X and Facebook and whatnot, of mainly related to tabletop role-playing games, but a little bit of adjacent culture as well. Like, just going to tell you right now, this week we had the 25th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings movies out, and it's actually kind of become a little bit of a joke on that channel that it's or on that series, that the surefire fastest way to get yourself put on intelligence as a dump stat is to open your mouth about Tolkien and say something really stupid. Because I'm a born and raised Tolkien fanboy from way back in the day.
Yeah, me too.
And there's you can almost see it from here, but on the bottom shelf of that bookshelf back there's a first edition copy of the Silmarillion, a first edition copy of the Two Towers and the Return of the King.
Nice.
Unfortunately, my first edition Fellowship hardback died a long time ago. Just from being read so many times, the cover fell off and ended up having to replace it.
Sure.
But so a lot of that going on, but basically it's like I said, it's tongue in cheek. I try to stay away from people who can't take a joke and get butthurt easy and that sort of thing. Half the people that I'm mocking are friends or people that I've been on shows with and have a relatively decent rapport with for the most part.
Oh, we're in trouble, Cam.
I give away cars. That's the other thing.
I heard that.
I was going to ask about that. That's kind of on my list here.
Well, that's a ways off in the future. Basically, all the revenue that comes in from the YouTube channel and Patreon and that sort of thing just goes towards fixing up cars, because that's what I do. I voice over video of me either driving around or working on cars. And with the exception of my own current project, which is the I've got a 10th anniversary Nissan 280ZX that I'm restoring. That's the one that I use for all my thumbnails and everything. It's a black and gold 280ZX sports car. That's mine, but I don't use any channel money from it. I just use it for footage. I've got a 74 Dodge Dart that was donated by somebody a while back that I got to get down here from New York. That is going to be the first one we give away. But I'm going to fix it up on the channel, and then when it's done, it's going to get the way we're doing it is a charity giveaway. You just have to be nominated by somebody for whatever reason, and the idea is to give it away to somebody within the tabletop role-playing game ecosystem who can use it after we fix it up and make something nice out of it. And I've pretty much all of my videos kind of have that sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek look to them. Like, I had a series on experience and how to award experience, gold for XP, milestone leveling, all that different stuff. And the whole thing was called Are You Experienced? I have a series called You're Doing It Wrong for general gaming, role-playing advice. And it's called You're Doing It Wrong because that's generally how 90% of people start off any opinion about how to play a tabletop role-playing game online, is they start off by telling you that you're doing it wrong. So I figured that was probably the best way to do it. So it'll be like, you're doing it wrong, setting up your session 0 or putting your adventure together. And then I have World Builder University. That's all world building stuff, but it's all stuff like that. I try to go deeper. I don't like to do a lot of surface stuff. I like to do more in-depth role-playing game type stuff. But of course, the big thing that I'm here for today is I got a group of guys together. They're all tabletop role-playing game folks. And basically it started off as kind of just an exercise, like an iron sharpens iron type thing, where we started writing pulp short stories based off of just really, really generic prompts. And then, it was throw it in the Google Doc, put it up for everybody. We all edit, we all beta read, we all comment, and we try to develop better stories and better writing. And we put it all together and decided to start putting it out as a pulp periodical, hopefully doing it once every quarter. We'd like to do 4 a year, but at least 3 a year, but we'd like to do 4 a year. And we got the first one up on Kickstarter right now. I've got 5 days left to get to my goal before I have to readjust and figure out how I'm going to do it. But we're going to do it in high quality paperback unless that just will not happen. I'm not going to go to like a Lulu or something like that where I'm going to do, your typical print on demand, lower quality stuff. It's being, ultra premium, high gloss paperback. And then of course the PDF. It's all the art's done by people in the TTRPG space, people that, do commissions for, Chubby Funster and for, Basic Expert does most of his own stuff, but Chubby Funster or I think some of them done some work for Pundit, and they've done work for the Red Room and various different, like Rob Necronomicon did most of our story headline pieces for the first volume, and he's got pages of stock art that you can buy on Drive-Thru RPG. If you're looking to put together a game book or something of that nature, he's got tons of stock art that you can buy there. And he, I had him do custom pieces for each story.
Right.
But
and let me see here. I can bring this up. So this is the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's your cover.
That's the cover from it. And I actually have this here. So this has got several of the pieces that. So this is some of the artwork that's going to be in the book.
Yes, that is everything there that's in the book. You've actually got 5 of the 7 stories represented in those images. The cover is a fantasy near future cyberpunk type story. It's like a fantasy cyberpunk noir. It was actually selected for the cover for that exact reason, because I felt that one story encapsulated everything you should expect to find in the book. It's got some sci-fi, it's got some noir, it's got some fantasy. It's very, very pulpy. We went with that red, black, and white kind of Frank Miller Sin City style cover.
Mm-hmm.
That
definitely
Patty O'Toole, Patty did that one for us, which is absolutely phenomenal. He does the White Dwarf magazines.
Okay. Yeah.
So he did that one. It's fantastic. It's hard to tell really on screen, but there's a lot of detail work that went into that cover. Like for instance, that coach gun that the orc there has over his shoulder, if you zoom in on it, you'll actually see that it has 2 triggers. It's an old school style 2 trigger side by side coach gun.
Oh wow.
Okay. So it's actually got both triggers in it. The car that he's leaning against is a 1974 Dodge Dart. So that was a throwback to the channel. And then of course, we have a beardless dwarf bad guy up top because of course if dwarfs are bad guys, they have to be beardless.
because a dwarf without his beard is no dwarf at all, right?
That's right. He's got to be a drug smuggling, gun running dwarf. So that's why we went with that one for the cover, is because it just kind of hit home. The bottom right picture there is another story by the same author. That's a 2-parter that is kind of a sci-fi western, like kind of a post-apocalyptic fantasy western.
Right.
You got your kind of pseudo cat girl there with your Wild West cowboy law marshal paladin cleric guy. If you wanted to try and put a TTRPG class on him, you'd have trouble doing it. But he's kind of a cross between a hard-boiled tech, Bat Masterson, Wyatt Earp lawman, and a TTRPG paladin. So he's and the rest of that picture, that one right there is of course it's just the cutaway of them sitting there behind that piece of broken building, but there's 2 cybernetically enhanced like lizard folk monster mutants out there. So it's another story that kind of touches both, touches sci-fi and kind of fantasy elements. Think kind of a Shannara vibe, or I'm trying to think of another good sci-fi series that would kind of be analogous to it, but it's, it's kind of it's like, is this fantasy, but is this fantasy or Western, but it kind of seems like it's near future, like it's a post-apocalypse that creates a fantasy setting almost.
So almost like Shadowrun, but without the tech.
Yeah, Shadowrun, only they bombed all the cities.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that one's pretty cool. The one on the bottom left is actually from my own story.
Oh, okay.
That handgun is for the gun nerds out there, that is a Sayutica 454 auto revolver. It's a very unique hybrid of a revolver and a semi-automatic made by an Italian handgun manufacturer. Huge gun chambered in 454 Casull, which is a monster magnum caliber.
Right.
Way more. It's on the order of like a 500 Smith & Wesson, like way more powerful than a 44 Magnum.
Yeah.
And then of course, the coin and the flower, which that story is called A Cold Bloom. It is a straight up cyberpunk noir. It is, everything about it is cyberpunk, and it's actually a piece of a game world that I have for a role-playing game I've been working on.
Yeah. Okay.
Takes place in a city called the Strand. The Strand is listed as the last of the great mega projects. It is a highway city. It's like a 14-lane super highway that runs from across the Pacific Ocean from San Francisco to Tokyo. And then also at Midway has a offshoot that runs down to Hawaii. So it is a monstrous super highway city that stretches all the way across the Pacific Ocean. And the main character operates underneath the overpasses of the mega highway.
Okay. Yeah.
Up top left, you got a classic kind of Conan the Barbarian sword and sorcery style.
Right.
That's actually a fun one that kind of comes into something we did in the writer's room. We open channels, like if any author wants to share their world, we open it up. We open a channel for it in the Discord where we put in the description, and you work with the author who created that world in order to develop the stories in them so that the world remains cohesive and stays true to the original world builder's vision. But you have a bunch of different stories told from a bunch of different perspectives within that world to give it more depth and more breadth. That is actually a fantasy role-playing game world that I created that one of the other authors wrote a story in.
Okay.
Giant supercontinent world, kind of like Hyboria, only think Pangea.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, it's a supercontinent world.
Yeah.
And so that's where that one comes from. And then top right is the one that I've always said is either going to put us on the map or everybody's just going to kind of scratch their head at. Very, very off-kilter esoteric story called Eulogy, Y-E-W, referencing the tree.
Yeah.
Kind of like a weird Ent world almost.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't know if she's some sort of giant druid or Ent or
She's
something.
a Sequoia woman.
Okay.
Don't want to give away too much of it, but you essentially have tree people and kind of a plant-based sentient society that exists on the world in the world, but it's essentially the Pacific Northwest. It's essentially Earth. So yeah. They go back and they reference these old people. I think they, if I remember correctly, he calls them like the makers, referencing, oh, look, here's this old tech facility. And, after you read for a bit, you recognize, oh, this is a robotics facility. Yeah. They're making androids or something in here, but of course it's all overgrown and it's from, 1,000 years ago. So it's another one of those things where it's like, hey, this feels future, this feels alien, but it's just kind of far future, post-human Earth.
Right.
And the thing that's really unique about it that I really like is the way it's written. is the author did an extremely good job of saying, like, how would a tree narrate a story? I know that sounds kind of
So
weird.
it's told from the tree's perspective.
Yeah, from the tree people's perspective, how would a tree that has this kind of sentience think?
Mm.
How would they speak? I mean, what different picadillos would they have in the way they, the way they view the world, the way they talk about it, the way they communicate with each other? You think about it, movement. Trees don't exactly move a lot now, do they?
Not
So,
usually. Except
distance.
around here sometimes if we get some high winds.
Well, you think about it this way: it's you kind of distance would probably be, from a tree's perspective, in just the broadest terms of like right next to me, close enough that I can see it there, and so far away I don't even know where it is.
Yeah.
And even though they move, you would still kind of have those thought processes going through them. And it's just like I said, it's really it's a really unique story. But there's 7 of them in there. It's 168 pages of short stories that are written into that book.
Yeah, and I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to pop up the link if somebody wants to go to it. This QR code will take you right there. I'm also going to drop it in the chat. If anybody's interested in it, there's the link directly to the Kickstarter for this. Now, I know that you've got a goal set here, and you got a little ways to go on that.
Yeah.
And not a lot of time left. So
not a lot of time left. I am
long way to go and a short time to get there.
Pretty much. And the goal is actually a lot higher than I need it to be, mainly because I have never done a Kickstarter before. And it was a little ambiguous about certain things. And I was like, well, if I get enough of my goal to do all the stuff I need to do, I'm going to have some shipping situations here. So I need to make sure I've got everything covered. And it's like, oh, I don't really need this much. But because, the shipping is calculated as part of the goal.
Right. And is there a reason why you went with Kickstarter versus backer kit, or anything like that?
I'd done a little bit of poking around. It just seemed that Kickstarter was more, was more ubiquitous, I guess you could say, and especially coming from the TTRPG world, you see a lot more of it. And I think the other side too is I did do a little bit of poking around, like with Indiegogo and a few others, and it seems like Kickstarter has the most transparent pricing and payment structure too.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure that I had the money to immediately go to print and immediately ship and have books in people's hands within 30 to 60 days.
Yeah. Now you're trying to go all local if you can, right? You want to use a local printer, and everything that you can as much as possible.
Yeah, printers right here in Birmingham. They're on the other side of town from me.
Okay.
And shipping and handling is literally me picking the stuff up and boxing it up and putting it in the post office.
Yeah.
It's very streamlined. Everything is, I do have a bookmark that's in there too. It is an online printer, like a Vistaprint type thing.
Right.
Mainly because they had it easy and ready to go. My printer did not do bookmarks because I asked them. And if they did, I would have been doing the bookmarks there. And if that hadn't have been as much of a kind of a last minute idea, I probably would have gone to a local printer for it too, to see if they could handle some volume.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I liked the bookmark. I said I wanted one, but if you don't make it, because I know I've seen a lot of videos where people are talking. What is it? In DM Lair, he's put out several Kickstarters, and he actually yanked one that he was trying, that they had worked on a lot, and he yanked it like partially through because it was not going to make what it was supposed to, what was necessary. And then he put out a video, kind of giving the dirt on how the crowdfunding stuff works when it's behind the scenes on your side of it. And one of the things he pointed out is most of these Kickstarters you see out there, or any of the crowdfunding for that matter, they set their goal lower than they actually need, so that it funds right away.
Yeah, because
and it gets exposure then, and suddenly now Kickstarter is pushing it up into the thing,
which I didn't know. The only reason I didn't do that, and I probably should have,
Mhm.
If I'd have had closer to my actual number, we probably would have been a little bit more okay on that, because the percentages do matter. The big
Yeah.
thing is, though, is that I'm not going to not fulfill a Kickstarter.
Right.
So I'm printing all this stuff myself. If I put up a $1,000 goal and I need $4,000 to make this happen, 3 of it's coming out of my pocket.
Right.
So I did need to put enough to actually cover the entire project and make sure that everybody gets what they pay for. But I did overdo it a bit, and I did suffer from that, because, like you said, a lot of these Kickstarters, they do that. They come in and they say, well, we're going to do, a $1,500 goal when they really need $10,000. But they know that if they hit 1,500 immediately, Kickstarter starts saying funded in 2 days all over the internet.
Yeah, and then they've already got the screen ready to throw up, that says funded, and
I was hoping to get a little bit more, and this may be just a little naivete on my part, is I was hoping to get a little bit more, I guess you could say a little bit more assistance with promotion out of a lot of the TTRPG community. Because it's kind of funny. A lot of them have been absolutely fantastic about it. I've been on a lot of different podcasts talking about it, but you've got a bunch of people out there who run and just constantly are all over the place about pulp, about how we don't have good pulp anymore, about how it's not there anymore, about people don't put these kind of stories out anymore. It's romantasy, or it's always woke, or it's just garbage. And it's like, I'm trying to give it to you. Read it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Well, hopefully we'll make it. Like I said, I've got you on here tonight. I know we're going to have you on with Jason later on in the week on exclusively on Sci-Fi for Me TV.
Yeah.
Okay, elephant in the room. If it doesn't make it, you are still going to go ahead and try and get this go forward with this, or what's your plan?
It's going to go forward either way.
Okay.
So the backup plan is to pull back, and I have to get with some of my writers to kind of, there's a couple of them that I rely on to kind of bounce ideas off of. I'm either going to immediately go into digital only production, buy the PDF and just download it and store up the money that way, and then possibly do pre-sales when I'm close to where I can print, and say, okay, here's the pre-sales for the book. I've already determined that the PDF will be included with any book purchase. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. As long as I'm shipping them out, it's easy enough. It's like, hey, I can give you a free download code, or I can email it to you.
Yeah.
But if I do actually get any traditional publishing, which is a part of the plan is to go to like local game shops and stuff. I got to figure out a way to make sure that they can get their free copy without making everybody get a free copy, like some kind of universal discount code. But the, if I go that way, when pre-order time comes, anybody who has already purchased the PDF will essentially get a $1 for $1 discount off the cover price of the book.
Okay.
So it's going to go that way either way. The probably the last resort is going to be saying, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to do this and run it as a business like it needs to be run as a truly traditionally published book. I'm going to have to go to an Amazon publishing or a Lulu or something of that nature in order to get those physical copies out, whether they come locally or not. It is basically it's all there on support. If the support is not there for me to take on the cost of physically producing the book in the way that I want to do it, it is probably going to turn into a situation where I have to do the print on demand and the PDF. And then later on, after I've built up enough money in the company itself, maybe do, special edition, maybe Corvid Codex Volume 1 actually turns into a collection of what would have been volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's like, this is Corvid Codex 2026. Here's everything we did for this year. Hardback
anthology.
special.
Yeah, an anthology. Yeah.
Exactly. We're going to do 150 copies and that's it. They're gone when they're gone. We're not going to print anymore.
Well, and the reason I ask is because I've had Don Samora on. I don't know if you're familiar with him from Wizard Tower Publishing, Wizard Tower Games, and I don't think I have it. Yeah, okay. So there's a book by he's another YouTuber, kind of. Mostly he's a guest, but this is When the Fat Orc Sings, and it's by Glenn Hallstrom. It was published by Wizard Tower Publishing. Actually, I got it before 2026, but it has a 2026 copyright on it, so it was kind of funny. And I was watching the live stream when Don said, "Hey, Glenn, I want to read it. Let me see it." And he does. He gets people not only just he can get you in Amazon and in Barnes and Noble. So, if it's something that he might be interested in, I could certainly put you in touch with him and reach out to him and see. Obviously, we'd like the Kickstarter to go. That's certainly where we're gonna. But there are options, and I certainly I think this is something. I jumped in it. I kind of want to see it succeed. But I look at the numbers and I'm like, and I am sure you're looking at it too.
Well, if it does fail, I'm probably going to at least try to kickstart it one more time.
Yeah,
with the lower number and with a little bit harder push.
Yeah,
and I may have to throw some capital into it to do so. I may have to actually pay some people to get some good reviews on it. Not pay for good reviews, but pay for reviews that get a substantial amount of viewership.
Yeah. I wish I had the audience that some of these guys out there do. But we're working on it. So.
Well, it's kind of the funny thing in the tabletop role playing game space. Outside of like your big dungeon tubers,
yeah,
you don't really have the kind that this particular type of thing would be worth paying for a promotion for. So, like for instance, we won't name any names. So let's just say, I'm pretty friendly with a creator who has 10, 15,000 subs.
Sure,
gets great views on any kind of live streams, gets great views on videos and whatnot for the tabletop role playing game space, particularly OSR.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not pushing something along the neighborhood of a game per se, it's good value per person. But realistically, when you run the numbers down for what you need to really move the needle on something like your Kickstarter for something like this for a traditional publishing venture, I need somebody who has like 60, 70, 80,000 subs, somebody who's getting 100,000 views to really move that needle just on a percentages basis. And I mean, you see that in all the different advertising, the people who get paid 6 figures a year to sit around and look at advertising and figure out what works. They'll tell you the same thing. It's like, paying for a YouTube channel, unless you are very, very much their exact niche.
Right.
I could go pay a pulp specific booktuber, but a generic or a general or even like a sci-fi or fantasy booktuber. I would need somebody like it wouldn't necessarily need to be somebody like a Daniel Green, but I would need somebody who's up there in that, high 5 figures to really move the needle dollar for dollar.
Right. PB, he's they're regular in Sci-Fi from ATV on our channel. Said, have you ever considered using Ripasend for the fulfillment, completion, marketing, and hosting services?
Since I've never heard of them, the answer would be no, but I'll put them on my list
I
of
think,
people.
yeah, I think Ripa is. I think that's probably part of probably something that Ripa is doing. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
It's really a comic focused thing, and it's not like an open platform. It's more like they work with someone and see if they could if they mesh.
Yeah. And like I said, I know Don does stuff. So it might be something that he could help with. And like I said, he'll get you in Barnes and Noble and Amazon if it's something that like you said, meshes with something that he wants to do. So there are alternatives out there, and so like I said, I want this to succeed, but if it doesn't, you got to keep us posted and make sure.
If it doesn't, it's going to happen. It's just the only question is, the measure of success is how much money comes out of my bank account or how much money goes into my writers' bank accounts. That's really the only difference where success comes in, because it's going to get published and produced one way or another. Yeah. That's a commitment I made, and I'm going to, at the bare minimum, do the first 4.
Yeah.
I'll have to look back and say, am I getting the kind of subscription? Am I getting the kind of growth? Because I am going to do a subscription model for the ultimate vision that we kind of came up with is that. Sorry, I got the dying piston in my chair.
Me too. if I start sinking.
So the overall vision is that you can go to you'll be able to go to our website. You'll be able to buy the individual PDFs. You'll be able to buy the individual books. You'll also be able to sign up for the subscription model where you just get them, where you get the PDF and the book as they come out, where you get first dibs on any kind of special edition stuff we do. Like if things got successful to the point where it was, meaningful and worthwhile to do. If I did like a hardcover special edition of one or multiple volumes, an anthology or something of that nature, where you would get first dibs or special pricing on that, and where it's like, hey, I'm going to pay a certain amount and I'm going to get everything as it comes in, or I'm going to get access to individual stories as they're finished. Maybe another thing I looked at was, and this was really cool, and it fits. It was just one of those situations where I was like, I'm not sure how I can work it into the Kickstarter I've got going right now. I looked at having one of the add-ons be a canvas print of the cover.
Yeah.
So like, frameable canvas print, or looking at a disc plate or something of that nature, to where you could do that. But, there's some cost on that kind of thing.
One of them, like that and that.
Yep.
That and that.
Exactly.
Those are canvas prints from Troller Games. So
exactly. So that's exactly the kind of thing that I was like, having that there and being available to produce it and send it out. Those are the kind of things that I would want to have there, because I want people to feel like it's almost like it's more like an extended book club than it is just I'm buying a product or I'm buying an author's book. Because you're not going to have the same authors in every issue either. You're going to have volumes that I don't write in. You're going to have volumes that some people write 2 or 3 stories in. You're going to have volumes that have completely new people.
Right.
So I want to say last time I checked, there's like 15 active writers in our writer's room. Okay. And for instance, that top left story up there, Coming of Age, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 stories, including a full novella that's approaching 45,000 words right now, following that girl with the spearhead in her hand.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
she's written 4 issues and a novella into the future already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it looks interesting, and I know I saw. I'm trying to think. You were on one of the streams, and you maybe it's even did your video where you were talking about, you can't. You gotta have something to come up with your stuff. We've been devoid of this genre, and as you said, everything's kind of gone um, romantasy, which uh, I
It's
don't even understand the popularity of that.
I do. It's female porn.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what it is. It's legitimately what it is. It's what it's always been. The only difference is that, it's not a housewife picking it up at the grocery store checkout aisle with Fabio on the cover as much anymore
right,
as it is the nerdy single cat lady who's online all the time that's picking it up.
yeah,
It's just like a bunch of other things. When you look at the publishing, and this is really kind of the way a lot of things have gone, we've gotten to the point where we can do a lot of stuff ourselves. We can self-publish a lot of things. We can self-promote a lot of things. But as a result, a lot of your big publishing houses, and you see this with music, you see this with video games, you see this with books, the middle ground is gone. You're actually probably about to see this thanks to AI. You're going to see this with art. The
yeah,
middle ground goes away. You have these books basically are guaranteed to sell millions of copies. We will
right,
publish them. Everything else you're on your own. We're not going to take a risk on anything. There's not going to be any pet project. There's not going to be anything that colors outside the lines at all, because to do it this way costs a tremendous amount of money, and we can no longer afford to lose money on the mixtape from the guy that sent it in from his garage band.
right,
However, the guy with the mixtape in his garage band can go put his stuff on Spotify until that record label looks down and says, I want to buy that.
yeah,
And if for whatever crazy reason this thing just went wildfire on me, and I got a call from like Bantam or something, they're like, hey, we'll publish these books, you just produce them, then in a heartbeat there would be little roosters on the corner of these books.
yeah, yeah.
Sell me 50,000 copies to Barnes and Noble in a pop. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and they're, of course, they're pushing agendas and everything, and it was like I was watching something today or yesterday where they were talking about this game that's in development called Knight's Path, I think it is,
Yeah.
and they're getting flack from a particular segment of the audience, or a particular segment of people that are like, "What do you mean you're not going to include our message?"
They said,
You know,
we're making games. We're not making.
but they're like, "Yeah, we want to make games that are fun."
So if you like Knights, play our game. If you don't like Knights, don't play our game. If you like political messages, YouTube is that way, and there's a whole bunch of people who make a lot of money talking about it there.
Yeah.
And I get that. I'm not going to say that there's no political jabs or anything thrown in any of these stories. There are quite a few little in jokes, both pop culture and political, but no, there's no messaging in our book. It doesn't none of these stories try to hammer any kind of messaging in on somebody. And I told people from the beginning, I'm like, I don't care what's in your book as long as it's not gratuitous. And I don't mean gratuitous in the way everybody thinks about it. Everybody thinks, oh, gratuitous. He's talking about, nudity, and, he's talking about, graphic sex and, over the top violence. I'm like, first off, I don't care if any of that's in there. I mean, we're not here to produce, X-rated content. That's not what we're here for. And I'm probably not going to put anything that's that far outside the lines of what's acceptable a norm in there. Like, you're not going to describe scene by scene thrusts in anything that I publish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, gratuitous doesn't just mean that it's graphic or it's over the top. Gratuitous means it's unnecessary.
Right.
And it's like, if you want to have a gay character, have a gay character. Just make sure there's a reason for it and it's not stupid and over the top and hammering you
It
in the face.
fits the story. Yeah.
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 Beta Red.
Edgelord King. I was going to say Edgelord King's got a question for you.
Yeah, I see that up there. What's my favorite noir film?
Yeah.
That's a good choice. That's a good question. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Casablanca, if you want to call it noir. I think it kind of fits. I think it's one of the greatest films ever made. Maltese Falcon, can't go wrong there either. That's a good one. That's a good question. It's noir is one of those genres that I actually prefer to read, but it's one of those genres that I really enjoy watching, and I really enjoy consuming the actual stories and whatnot, but it's not the kind of thing where I'm like, man, I'm going back to my shelf over and over again. I got this great favorite story. And I really, really like noir. I guess you could say like noir episodes of different things. I like when you have a series that takes a noir bent. Like for instance, David Gemmell, the Drenai Saga has the Waylander books actually start to take a little bit of a noir bent to them. So I'm a big fan of the aesthetic, and I'm a big fan of cyberpunk, which is essentially just tech noir.
Yeah.
Actually, no, my favorite noir movie, like I said, Casablanca is going to be it if you count that as noir. Otherwise, it's the first Terminator.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. The first Terminator is not an action movie. It's a noir movie.
Yeah.
That is a sci-fi cyberpunk noir movie.
Yeah.
Think about the aesthetic. Think about how it works. It's low rent, which was a hallmark of noir. It's focused on those characters inside the world while the rest of the world kind of ignores them. That is a noir series, not a straight up action, not even a sci-fi series. Now, Terminator 2 is an action movie.
The world may be doomed, but they're blissfully ignorant of it, and your protagonists are trying to save it in spite of what the world wants.
Yeah.
Edgelord says
that's a good one.
Yeah, and Key Largo. Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
that is cool. Tech Noir is the name of the bar in the Terminator.
Oh, that is, yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting cost-cutting measures in that movie too, by the way. But probably my favorite story with the original Terminator is that Arnold Schwarzenegger went and did all this work at the gun range because he's like, the Terminator's a machine. He's not going to flinch. So he did all this work to make sure that like physically he doesn't flinch in the movie. And if you look at him shooting guns, like shooting pistols and stuff like that, thing stays rock steady. It doesn't, like, he has gotten to where it stays there, but he did not work at all on his facial expressions. So like when he walks in and he kills the old lady, Sarah Connor, and he's shooting that long slide 45, the gun is not moving. It's not twitching an inch. He has worked to make sure that even with the blanks and stuff, that's not going to be, but he's like, like flinching and closing his eyes. And it's like, that's the part you should have worked on there, Arnold.
Yeah.
And then of course he argued about I'll be back, and he actually punched in somebody's the station wagon, where he punches in the window to go in and steal the station wagon. He actually busts the window out of somebody's station wagon. They didn't have any permits to film or anything, so they're like, all right, run up and punch that car window.
And he actually
they had to pay for the person's window and everything. I think they bought the car from the person, but they had no permits to film or anything. So they're like, we got to get in here and get this scene and get the hell out of here before we get fined.
Yeah. Yeah. California, right?
Yeah.
They'll nail you every which way they can.
They sure will. Well, especially, it actually kind of makes sense when you talk about like LA or something, because you got a big major city, a huge film industry is there, and you probably do need to have some permitting if you're going to be rolling a bunch of cameras and gear and stuff out into the middle of a public street.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be pissed if I'm turning the corner to come, go to my house and you're out in front of it with a film crew.
PB thought they were the only one that caught that. Arnold blinking with every shot. Apparently not. There's at least 2 of you that saw it, and
Oh, he blinks with every shot, but like I said, physically he doesn't move, so it's hilarious. So it's like literally the only way he flinches is in the "I don't shoot enough guns" way.
right.
But yeah, it's definitely a noir movie.
Yeah.
It's no different than it's a little backwards because obviously Kyle Reese runs in and's like, "Hey, come with me if you want to live." But that's a noir storyline.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any more noir if Sarah Connor walked in and said, "Somebody's after me. I need you to save me."
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
or Kyle
Now
Reese.
I'm going to go watch Terminator again.
Yeah. Just imagine Kyle Reese is a hard-boiled detective behind on his rent with half-empty whiskey bottle in his hand, and Sarah Connor comes running out of an alleyway into him, and that's the start of his story.
Yeah.
It's just got a inverted focus.
Right. So Cam, I know you like to ask some questions. You like
Well, the question I usually like to ask is how you got started in role playing.
No,
I know you mentioned you were a fan of Tolkien. Did that come first, or as a result of role playing, or?
Well, that definitely came first. My dad was reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings to me before bed when I was like 3, and I think I read The Hobbit for the first time myself when I was 5.
It's a great start.
Yeah. And my dad had just about everything you could possibly think of in terms of fantasy and pulp books and stuff. Now some of this was probably not appropriate when I got my hands on it. And my mother probably had a lot to say about me getting my hands on some of it. Like, it's probably not appropriate for a 7 or an 8-year-old to read through like the Gore series. But I did.
right.
But, Conan, Gore series, Children of the Lens, all the Del Rey books, the Shannara books and all that stuff, the Belgariad, all that stuff. I just devoured that stuff throughout my childhood. Got into tabletop role-playing games kind of as a natural outgrowth of that. Older brother played a little. I had some friends who played, and their older brothers played some games. I actually started with Cyberpunk, and started with Cyberpunk 2020.
Okay.
And did a little bit of 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons, and then kind of jumped into 3rd edition with both feet. Ran a lot of 3.5 and 3rd edition D&D and a lot of Cyberpunk. And that was really my bread and butter. And, played some Call of Cthulhu and, kind of dabbled a little bit left and right all over the place.
Any Shadowrun?
No, I didn't play a lot of Shadowrun. I was aware of it. I was aware that you need to essentially take out stock in whoever makes D6s, but
yeah,
that's for sure. Shadowrun was one that I did. I'll take that back. I think I've played like 1 or 2 sessions of Shadowrun somewhere in the distant past.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of Interlock Unlimited. I think that Interlock Unlimited is likely the most versatile system out there. And when I say versatile, I mean adaptable to whatever you want to play. It's got its issues and its picadillos and bugaboos. It's not none of these systems are perfect, and there's definitely some holes in it. But Interlock Unlimited can be, you can go back to antiquity and run around with chariots and Roman legions and go be a Hittite and fight the Egyptians. You can get in Charlemagne's court and you can be in high fantasy, or you can be a hard-boiled detective or cyberpunk, or you can fly around and fight intergalactic wars. They all work with Interlock Unlimited, and they're all pretty easily adaptable to it. Whereas, like, say, D20 really starts to fall apart in modern, really in anything that doesn't have a magic system, for that matter. D20 really starts to fall apart.
Yeah. Did you ever try out the D20 Modern or the Star Wars?
D20 Modern was pretty decent. D20 Modern was okay. I will tell you this: 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is really, really good for Modern. It's way better for Modern than it is for Fantasy. And the proof of that is Everyday Heroes is the absolute best use of the 5e system.
Right.
And I think Everyday Heroes is functionally D20 Modern 5th edition.
Yeah, I've said for a long time that 5e, as it came out, was good.
Yeah.
It served its function. It did clean up some stuff from 3.5 that I kind of twinged about. You know, I was really big fan of skills at the time. Now I've kind of gone the whole full arc, and I realize that that the more rules you come out with, the more restricted and the blinders that you put. You know, the players think they're playing from the sheet instead of, you know, from the heart. You know what? And it's kind of a you know, as time progressed, and they came out with Tasha's and stuff like that. I consider Tasha's to be really 5.5, and that's when they started going downhill.
I've
Big
always
time.
called it Tasha's Cauldron of Everything's Broken. But yeah, here's the thing, and I think it's a symptom of a greater problem. We've all seen some of the videos. Second Story probably has the best one out there on it about critical literacy and about that. And reading is important and language is important. This is nothing new. Orwell pointed this out when he wrote 1984. You know, key element of 1984 is that control of language is control of thought. Because if you control the way people think, speak, the way you control the way people speak and read, you control their ability to express and share ideas, and you control the way their brain thinks.
Right.
People have, like, we now can read, or our kids these days and people these days can read, but they have no reading comprehension.
Yeah.
Which is why you can give them a paragraph of text, you know, outlining what you think about something, and it's only like 4 or 5 sentences, but they can't link sentence 1 and 5 together anymore throughout that paragraph.
Right.
They can't follow simple examples. And that's where you get your trouble with crunchy systems. It's a failing of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Depending on the system. Now, there are some crunchy systems where it's like you've just crunched this and you made too many things integral to where you can't pull them apart. But like when I look at 3.5, I always tell people, I'm like, if you have trouble with 3.5, it's because you're not doing it right. And when I say you're not doing it right, I mean that you're not understanding that this is modular. Every one of these rules has 4 or 5 variants to it. And it clearly tells you in every single one of their books, add, take away, adjust as needed. It's designed for you to have a blank slate and for you to plug in the stuff that fits the play style you want. But you as a game master, and to a lesser extent as a player, have to have those critical reasoning skills to put the right pieces together and not have a garbage system. When you try to do everything, you're way too restricted. And you know, basically you've got a session of, we accomplished, 15 minutes of stuff, and we accomplished what functionally is 2 minutes of combat with 8 hours of digging through rule books, because you're trying to use every single rule that was ever published and printed. Like this is some kind of World of Warcraft where when you downloaded the patch, you have to use it.
Well, that's an excellent point. And I don't know if you've experienced, I played a lot of 3 and 3.5 myself. The thing we ran into is whenever anyone, mostly it was a DM kind of wanting to limit things, because as if you've ever DM'd 3.5, you know that it gets pretty difficult to do, especially as you get past level 6, 7, 8 kind of thing. And with all these options and everything, it's very difficult to challenge the players at some point with all that in there. But it's, most of the players, and I myself am guilty of this. It's like, hey, I have this stuff that, I want to use this. I bought it. And so there's a great kind of built-in resistance to it. I don't have any philosophical objection to saying, look, we're doing this, we're playing core or whatever system you want to take in or out, but I understand why that resistance exists. But it's a very good point you brought up. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
5th edition plays off of that. That is one of the major differences between 3rd edition and 5th. And this is a business philosophy difference. Wizards of the Coast has a very successful product. It's called Magic the Gathering.
Right.
And if you look at it and you say, well, D&D is okay. We just had 4th edition that came out that's a complete just a killer, right? It's just garbage. And it loses us money. And D&D has never really been a big money maker for Wizards, even though 3rd edition had some pretty significant success. They look at it, they're like, well, what is one of the key things that's built into Magic the Gathering?
Cycling.
Power creep is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I played back in, I remember when I was playing competitive Magic back during the Urza cycle. And there were cards that are like, this is like broken. It's like, this is so game breaking. And nowadays you show that card to a player and they're like, why would I even have, I might sideboard this. And they're starting to, they go and they start doing Commander, where you have these massive decks where you can only have one copy of each card in them. And it's like, oh, it's so fun to play Commander. I'm like, yeah, because you had to make it to where you have to stretch out the deck building to make up for all these ridiculously powerful cards. Because Wizards figured out, if I print this set more powerful than this set, everybody will buy the more powerful set.
Right.
So on and so forth. And they did that with 5e. Each 5e supplement, each thing that came out was, we're going to give you more, and it's going to be objectively better than what came before. It's objectively more powerful, more versatile, has more abilities, has more this, that, or the other. They stack up unevenly. So I go out and I spend my $60 on my, Tasha's Cauldron of Breaking the Game, and I show up with it, and I spent my $60 on it so I can use my cool new, Bard that heals and screws everything. And you tell me that there's no heal and screw in Bard in your game, and now I feel like you cheated me out of $60.
Yeah. Well, and that creep, it's not new. I mean, they've been doing it.
Well, more options inherently gives power creep, right? And anybody who's ever done playtesting or everything, it's like, oh, I've really playtested. I think I got this under. No, as soon as it goes to a player base that's 1 million times more than your playtester numbers, they're going to find things that you never found, and then
introduce add the internet, and everybody's got, this build and that build, and it's like,
What's the flip side of the same coin with finding bugs in a video game or bugs in your things? Like, you can only play test it so heavily.
Right.
And you're still, because even if I have a team of play testers working 24/7 trying to find every way to say break my video game, when I put it out into the world, I'm still going to have, within 6 weeks, a bunch of people saying, oh, I figured out a way that if you do this, you can slip through the wall and go straight to the final boss from the very first room. And that kind of stuff was all over like Super Nintendo and whatnot. It's like, well, how did that happen? Well, because I have, I sold 10 million copies of this game. I have 10 million playtesters, and at least 1 million of those 10 million playtesters are trying to find a way to break the game because that's how they enjoy it. They beat it on the first day. Then they found a new way to beat it. Then they wanted to beat it if they only run backwards. And then they started trying to figure out goofball ways that the physics don't work right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I'm sure there were powerful things in almost every role-playing game. And in the past, people, a DM would say, no, we're not doing that, and just like you were saying with, 3.5 or whatever systems, that say, well, yeah, I use this or don't. But now it's people, they're offended, like you said, I bought this thing and it's like, how dare you not let me be the superhero sparkle troll that I want to be? You're standing in the way of my identity.
And that's
go ahead.
And that's you're absolutely right. That's a modern problem. The modern problem is we're no longer stepping. I said this just the other day, actually, when I was having my wonderful debate with Mr. Max about 4D role playing.
Oh yeah.
One of the problems that we've got right now is people are no longer stepping outside of themselves to play a role, to get that release from reality, that break from reality.
Yeah.
They are now trying to put themselves into that role to live in a new reality. Their character is an extension of their identity. It's like, you are not role playing. You are trying to make this be your role. So I'm no longer attacking a character. I'm attacking you. You're projecting too much into the character. And it's like, oh, you're taking this away from me. It's like you're taking away a piece of who I am. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm saying you can't put those numbers on that sheet for that die roll, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the fun things about the game, the Shadowrun game that we were doing is, first of all of us had been longtime DMs or GMs of some sort, one way or another, that were playing, except for Better with Bacon. He's a player only, but he's also part of the 4D group, right? So he now this game was not a 4D game because none of the rest of us do the 4D thing, right?
Yeah.
But and he was great with it. He was very flexible with it. But you know, we all come from, you know, a long time of gaming, and we're not attached to our characters. We knew. I joked the very first episode that we did. I joked that I was ready to order my I was killed by Chubby Funster and I liked it. Or, you know, so, you know, because that's the way it was. You know, I did the same thing with I did a Patreon game with Troll Lord last year, and every one of us had been a GM or a DM at some point, and we were like having fun with it. Now, I want my character to die right away? No. And my little 4 hit point wizard was the last one to die, but it did die, you know? So I had fun. You know,
it's part of it. It's part of what's there. But you don't even die in video games anymore. It's like, I mean, you got autosave every time you fart. So it's like, oh my God, you died. And then it's like you pick right back up at the start of the fight that just killed you.
Yeah.
Half the time you pick right back up and the guy's still hurt.
Yeah. And you just keep on pummeling. So Jeanette says, fun times in D&D when I fail a roll. Yeah. You know, she's been gaming with me for 25 years, 26 years now.
I'll never get it because, like, I remember as a kid, my dad pointed it out. He pointed out the episode to me when I was probably 6. But my favorite episode of The Twilight Zone has always been A Nice Place to Visit.
Yeah.
Which is a great episode for anybody who doesn't understand it or doesn't know it. A Nice Place to Visit. The general premise is this guy dies. A spoiler for the 70-year-old TV show. This thug bank robber dies, and he comes out and it's like, oh, you know, he's got all the best clothes in his closet, and he's got his little servant there. And he's like, oh, I must be in heaven. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I want such and such whiskey to drink, and he's got like a whole cabinet full. And man, it's great. It's like, I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go. I want to go for a ride. And it's like, oh man, that's the greatest sports car ever out there. And he comes back, he's got 2 pretty girls with him. He's like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to go to the casino. And he's like, I keep winning. He's like, and then they see him in the casino. He's like, man, that's another blackjack. Oh yeah, my 15th blackjack in a row. He's like, man, I'm real rich. And he's like, well, I'm going to go play pool. And he gets up and he sets the pool rack and he pops the balls and they all go in the holes. He racks them again, pops the balls, they all go in the holes. He's like, well, you know what? I need some excitement in my life. I'm going to go rob a bank. And he's like, yeah, you can rob a bank. There's one right up the road. He's like, all right, well, I need to get all my stuff together. He's like, we got everything you need right there in the closet. He's like, man, I got my gun and my rope and my bag and everything, my mask. He's like, all right, well, is there a chance that I'll get caught? He's like, well, only if you want it. He's like, what? He's like, there's no fun in this.
Right.
He's like, what kind of heaven is it where I just get everything I want every time and I never fail? And he goes, well, if this is heaven, just send me to the other place. And then, of course, the guy drops it on him. He's like, congratulations. Like, who told you were in heaven? This is the other place. Yeah. So, hell is literally, there is no chance of failure. So I carry that in to my adulthood. And I'm like, why in the hell would I ever want to play a game where I get to be in hell the entire game and I can never fail?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I can't say everybody in a certain generation or generations, but there are people out there now that it's like, that is what they want. They are so averse to challenging themselves in any way. Yeah, I mean, they fall apart if they're challenged in any way. And so, they're happy with that. It's bizarre, but there it is.
Well, and this is the same group that wants to self-insert.
Yeah.
You know, I do not want to play myself in a role playing game, except maybe as a spoof one off type thing. You know,
No, I
uh,
mean, it's like you could be yourself, or you could have all kinds of cool magic powers and be beautiful and rich. What do you want to be? I'm just
yeah,
gonna be me. It's like, and I kind of look at it because it's seeped into game design, of course, too, which is I think a problem with game design.
yeah,
One of my players, she's really got it in her head. She really wants to run Monster of the Week, and I'm like, great, an Evil Hat game based on Powered by the Apocalypse.
okay,
Okay, that's all right. I'll play it. Now, our group's going to make any game we play fun, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm sitting here looking through it. I got my character, my little character sheet right here and everything that I'm putting together to play that game, and we're going to do our little one-off. And I'm sitting here reading through the rules and stuff, and I'm like, this might be a cool party game one-off thing. You're never going to run any kind of campaign with this. And I'm looking through the Powered by the Apocalypse super rules light system, and I'm like, this is nothing but wish fulfillment in the game.
right,
I mean, it runs on 2d6, and as long as you roll over 6, you basically get some kind of success. You either get a success or you get a success that has either I get success or I get success, but first I have to move this wire out of the way. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I've got like a 66% chance of succeeding no matter what I do. And then even the failures, when you look at it, it's like, even on a failure, you're supposed to have some kind of like meta currency or something to mitigate your failure. I'm like, where the hell is the part where we can lose?
right. Well, and I was, I'm a big fan of no risk, no reward. Winning, if you for the sake of winning all the time, is not winning. It's kind of like the participation trophies. You
Yeah.
know what, and maybe that's where it started. I don't know.
By
Let's
the way,
see.
you got Agile Monk there in the chat. That
Yes,
guy,
I do, and
that man always comes through right there. And yes,
he,
I'm very well aware that you have backed the Kickstarter, my friend, and you've been a Patreon member or super chatter. I mean, he's kind of like old Mercurius. He's going to show up for you.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Agile's a buddy of mine, and we had a situation in that Shadow Room game. We lost a player. I don't want to per se go through all the details, but anybody who watched the stream, you'll find out about it. But Agile reached out to me right away and said, "Dude, is there anything I can do?" And I was going to try and get him in the game, but the timing wouldn't work out. Everybody would have been, we would have loved to have him join the game to replace the one that we lost. But he is a big supporter of the game. I see him everywhere. I see him, you name it, man. So, and yes, he does. And he may have something in the works too coming. So at some point in time, he's going to be on the show with us. So
That's right, be returning the favor. And I will say this kind of ties back to Corvid Codex. One of the things that we thought about, it's actually kind of funny because we were like, what, one thing we could do, we're all gamers. There's a couple of designers in there. I've got a game I'm working on. One of the other authors has a game he's working on. So we've all got, we got way more than a toe deep in this hobby, right? And we're like, one of the cool things we could do is like we could take some of these stories and convert them into adventure modules, or here's the setup for the adventure module for them, be something we could share, something that could be part of that whole, like I said, the subscription model club feel is like you get access to all this other stuff too. And we all sat around and thought about it, and we're like, none of us play 5e. And none of us really like 5e enough to actually write anything for it. And this is only a benefit if it's 5e. It's like it's 5e, it's OSR. That's about it. I mean, maybe we could do it as a Shadow Dark, and none of us play Shadow Dark. So it's like, I guess one of us is going to have to play Shadow Dark, because I'm like, oh, wow, you get a free 3.5 adventure. It's like, that's really going to push the numbers.
Well, I'm actually going to, I'm going to try and run a Shadow Dark adventure here coming up on that Monday. We're gonna keep on doing that Monday stream. Erudite DM. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not.
With who?
Erudite
Uh,
DM.
not off the
You
top
may
of
have
my
seen his
head.
name out there. Yeah, him and myself and like I said, Lord Mateus, I think, is going to be in for it. I think Bacon is going to join us. We might pick up one or two other people, and I'm going to try and run Tom Wilson, creator of ShireCon. He put out a book. He had a Kickstarter, and I've got it behind, or I think I've got it upstairs. So I'm going to try my hand at DMing or GMing Shadow Dark. So it's been a while. Since my buddy passed away, I haven't run a game. So this will be the first real time trying to get back up on the saddle. Hopefully I don't screw it up, but you know how that goes.
You know what I found out? The only way you can really screw up being a GM is trying too hard.
Yeah.
And it's really all there is to it. If you some of the best games ever are the ones that people half-ass.
Oh yeah, well, and if the more you plan, the more that your players are just gonna go off left field, or that's just the nature of players. If you expect to zig, they are going to absolutely zag.
Oh yeah.
So
without a question, they're going to zag when you zig, and
yeah,
it's always been my philosophy is that you build a world and you let them play in it, and you run the world.
you're right.
Now, that doesn't mean that there's no story hooks or anything going on, but the story hooks are this is what's going on in the world, and through simple logic and coherent story, this is what it means in the area you're in, and what you choose to do with that information is yours. And then you end up in situations like my current 3.5 group, my current group that's doing Oriental Adventures, who are stuck halfway across Rokugan and have one day to get back to the Imperial City. So they are struggling to find a way to get their package to the Imperial City in one day when it's like 6 weeks away, like 6 weeks regular travel.
Right.
Why? Because they kind of did some fooling around and goofing off, and decided that they really needed to recover all their stats from this plague that they had caught. So they spent like an entire week camped out in a cave trying to recover ability points instead of just deciding that they were going to be a little bit weaker for some of the stuff they needed to do. Right. Now they're really regretting that week.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we're going to run I'll probably do about 3 to 5 sessions, and then we're going to try something else. We're going to kind of check out some of these different things. I know, what was it? Lord Mateus had DM Scotty on. He does EZD6. I'm interested to see how that runs. I've never tried that.
I need to get around to running Wretched. I've been thinking about running Wretched for a while, and I want to run Ultra American TTRPGers, Wretched Dixie. Now, granted, half of that's because I'm going to pick it to pieces, but I think it ought to be fun.
Yeah. Ultra's a great guy too. Oh well, he's great. He's so much younger than me, but
he's such an interesting character in the fact that he is just like full throated. Just I'm Mr. Super OSR, classic gaming, and it's like, dude, but you started playing like you started playing in like 2021. It's like you barely, but it's just he's like obsessive about it.
And he's been playing with Matthew Tapp, the Barrows and Borderlands. So Edgelord said he ran Wretched with Chalt. Yeah. Venture Satanas' stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Venture's a good dude.
I suppose with the kind of popularity of OSR stuff, that could be someone's base, that just started in 2021. It's like, meaning, you would think, they play 5e or something, but I guess someone could fall into a better place and play some OSR as their original again in the 21st century.
They can.
It's not likely.
Ultra, there's just some weird idiosyncrasies in like his kind of philosophy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
he came from Powered by the Apocalypse. He came from like straight up no rule story gaming.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's not a rules is written guy by any stretch of the imagination. So he's kind of this kind of oddball hanging out there. And he'd probably do better if he'd stop trying to argue with people who were like alive and played with Gary about what happened back then.
Yeah.
He does, but then again, so does everybody else.
Yeah. Before you came on, I think Cam and I were kind of talking about the Gary Gygax versus Dave Arduin versus Dave Hargrave. And I'm like, man, if Dave Hargrave had lived longer, he died in, I think it was 1982 or something like that, when he was only 42 years old. And a lot of people don't even realize he's the one that created Arduin. So the whole Portal to Adventure thing that was should be fulfilling here soon. I don't know if you followed that or not, but it's some old school stuff. He was part of the California contingent of the group, because you had Arneson in Minnesota, right?
Yep.
And you had Gary in Wisconsin, and then you had Hargrave out in California, and they were all corresponding with one another.
A lot of stuff
so-
about letters.
Yeah, a lot of it by letters, and then at some point they would just pick up the phone and, hey, I'm going to call this guy. And, and of course, for us today to think about, I'm just going to pick up the phone, look up in the phone book and call some guy or call information. I think I'm not even sure the kids today know what information is,
What's hilarious is that people don't understand, kids these days they don't get the idea of why calling somebody in California is a big deal.
Well, it used to, when I grew up in Central Florida, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Kissimmee. And it used to be 15 cents a minute to call Orlando from Kissimmee.
Yeah.
And that was at night. In the daytime, it was like 27 cents a minute.
Barely an area code difference.
Oh, it was the same area code. There was no area code difference. We were all 305. It was 305 all the way down to Miami.
Yeah.
Now 305 is just Miami. But back then 305, you had 305, 904, and I don't even remember what the area code is in the Panhandle, but that was it. There was 3 area codes for the whole state of Florida. Now there's 4 area codes for the Orlando area.
Well, I remember in Natchez, Mississippi, it was long distance to call Vidalia, Louisiana. That's literally right across the river.
Yeah, and that the same thing, and if you lived in Orlando or Kissimmee and you wanted to call Lake Buena Vista, which is where Disney is, that was a long distance call too, from both. And that was because Disney ran their own phone company.
That's right. Disney ran a lot of their own stuff. Not anymore.
I see. Well, let me get to Davina first. She said Oriental Adventures is a fun setting. She sold her book. That's a shame that you did, because Oriental Adventures was kind of cool. Karator.
Is she running Karator or Rokugan? Because I'm running Rokugan.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3.5 version of Oriental Adventures did base it in Rokugan, which I was a big fan of Legend of the Five Rings, so that was cool for me.
I like them both. I'm just seeking clarity.
Oh, look at this. Agile. Hats off to you, my friend. you knew Dave Hargrave. I would not have figured you were old enough to do that, but God bless you, sir.
If I knew him, we'd have some serious problems.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That would be a time where I think I'm going to guess you're younger than I am, by a bit.
Possibly. I've always looked a lot younger than I actually am, but I'm not I ain't a spring chicken, but I ain't an old rooster either.
Well, let's put it this way. I've been an AARP member for a few years now.
Yeah, I don't qualify yet.
Yeah, so I've been qualified for a few years now. Although I joined before that, but that's because somebody else I might be married to beat me to the line.
I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Well, it's time to check your. We actually probably need to check your cholesterol now."
Yeah. Well, I've already been.
We need to check your cholesterol.
I've already had to do the thing that no guy wants to do. So
I got 5 more years for that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to push that off until they get to the point where they can do it with like a computer from outside.
Right. Well, that's what I said, but they kept on bugging me. They bugged me for like 5 years. So Sci-Fi Snob, some random guy Cam called Sci-Fi Snob was complaining about having to walk uphill to school both ways.
In the snow.
In the snow, yeah. Well, and the funny thing is
Barefoot.
he's in Canada, so yeah, he really did. He had snow in 4 months ago.
That was one of the funniest things. I lived up north for a little while. Lived up in Chicago, and that was one of the funniest things I ever saw. Was one of my first Halloweens in Chicago, because down here in the South, girls dressing super trashy for Halloween. I mean, you look at it and it's like, okay, yeah, you're using it as an excuse to dress trashy, but it's October. It's last week of October. It's 68. It's like perfect being outside walking weather. Move up to Illinois, and I'm like, well, at least I'm not gonna have to put up with that during Halloween because it's 6 inches of snow and it's -2 wind chill out there right now. Nope. Naughty nurse is just shivering her ass off walking down the road.
Yeah. They're well-dressed witches, more like it.
You said well-dressed waitress.
Witches, well-dressed witches, lots of garb on. So speaking of Sci-Fi Snob, Cam is co-host on Top Lofty Lounge, which is coming up at the top of the hour on Sci-Fi Snob's channel. So he's going to be jumping out here in a minute, and we're going to be wrapping up. But I did want to point out Snob because he's always got something going on. He's
always begging for attention.
Is.
If you like sci-fi, he needs to read my book. Got plenty of sci-fi in there.
Agile said my mom worked at one of the places Gary hung out and partied in California. The Playboy Club.
He did a lot of that.
Yeah. And don't go to the doctor, Snob says. They can only tell you bad things. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, they told me good things.
I know I've known a lot of people who do everything the doctor tells them to. They do all their things. They run every morning. They count their calories. They do everything great, and then they die when they're 60. But every time I look on TV and I see some guy where the local news is shoving a microphone in his face, what's your secret to, your 114th birthday's coming up. What's your secret? Well, all I do is sit around on my porch. I eat 6 pork chops a day. I drink a gallon of Jack Daniels. I smoke 6 cigars, and I yell at these dumb kids. And it's like, so basically, you sit around. You're a grouch and a jackass to everybody. You're half tossed by noon, and you chain smoke cigars like you're Winston Churchill. That's the secret to living to 120.
I've seen that over and over again. What was it? George Burns, smoked a cigar and drank some bourbon every day or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I say you let all the anger out. That just why would you want to keep that inside? Yeah, you just project it right out there, and you'll feel much better.
But any rate, folks, check out his Kickstarter. Definitely, we want to try and get it across the line if we can. But Daniel, definitely keep us in the loop.
Will do.
We'd love to see it make it to print, and as you said, it is going to be in one way or the other, come hell or high water. So we're hopeful that people are going to see this and that the word is going to spread and people are going to jump in.
No, and I'm going to make a list of all the people who backed the Kickstarter. If it ends up not going well on Kickstarter, either this time or a follow-up time, anybody who backs it, I'm going to keep the list down, and I'm going to pass the discount along to because it's discounted on Kickstarter. You're getting it for
right.
I think 20 or 30% less than what I'm going to put it for cover price. So I'm just going to pass that along. Whether it ends up being I have to do this the slow rolling it, do it myself way, or whether or not I do another Kickstarter, I'm going to make sure that anybody who backs it gets to carry that discount over. So, no matter what, we're going to have to do we're going to have to make sure loyalty is rewarded.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. All right. With that, I'm guessing Cam, you are going to probably need to get out of here. Daniel,
Yep,
thank you
I'm gonna.
so much for joining us, and we hope to have you on again. Maybe we can talk more about intelligence being a dump stat. I love that name. I'd love to hear the story of what did it just blink into you, or what the case is. But
Actually came out of my writer's room.
did it really?
Me
Yeah.
and one of my me and one of the first guys that started that whole project with, he and I were going back and forth, and I was ranting and raving about the stupid crap that people say on a regular basis about games. And I was like, I'm just going to make a damn series where I talk about all these idiots. It's like they clearly all rolled a 3 on their intelligence. He's like, yeah, they're all using intelligence as a dump stat. And I'm like, there's my title.
Yep, that's just the way to. I thought about creating another show with a buddy of mine, and we're going to call it "White Dudes in a Basement," just because.
Right on the
Do what?
right on the nose.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's where I'm at here. And your channel is Driving and Dragons. Dropping a link for that here. I've got a code for that too. Everybody check out his stuff. And we hope to have you back. People will be able to see you coming up. I think it's Wednesday, right? The 28th.
Yep, Wednesday the 28th. I'll be on
Sci-Fi for Me TV with Jason.
Yep, Sci-Fi for Me. I'll be on there at 1:00.
Yeah,
and, you can see me tomorrow because tomorrow's Monday, which means that's what I was doing before this started, and what I'm going to be doing as soon as we log out here is I'll be right back to writing intelligence as a dump stat, so I can record it, and it'll go 5:00 tomorrow, 5:00 Monday. Come find out what stupid stuff people said, including me.
Oh well, yeah. Well,
what's nice is you have a never-ending supply of inspirations for those episodes.
Yeah,
you can definitely give me a hard time about my keyboard.
I can. But nobody is safe. I hit myself on a regular basis on that one. The only way you're safe is if you're a butthurt little Nancy. And I'm not, like I said, if you can't take a joke, there's just no point in making fun of you, because it's like, I'm not here to just be mean to people. I'm here to be mean to people who understand that they stepped in it and they deserve to be smacked a little bit.
Yeah. I get it.
Back at the end is where love is found.
If you don't mind sticking around for a minute, Cam, I'm going to go ahead and roll the B5 promo one more time, and then I'm going to roll the credits. And Cam, I know you're going to dip, so.
Yep. Thanks for coming, and Daniel, nice to meet you.
Good discussion. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, I'm Peter Jurasek. I played Ambassador Lando Molare on Babylon 5. Please join me, will you? On Science Fiction Snob on Wednesday, January 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern. You moon-faced assassins of joy, I will do a live, exclusive interview for you. Try to be there, yes?